Hey, good morning, everybody. Hello, Brad here. I hope you're having a blessed day wherever, whenever it is you're watching this Bible study. We're going to continue on in chapter 18, part 2 of the book of John. Today, there's some really interesting inside baseball to look at when it comes to the back and forth of why did they send Jesus over to Pilate, and why did they send him here, and why did he end up at Caiaphas? What was the whole scoop with all that back and forth? And we're going to unpack that because there, believe it or not, as usual, there is more than meets the eye when it comes to why this was going on. And it's a perfect picture of the legalism in action of the day, and not in a good way at all. Not in a good way in any way. So let's scroll to the top. Let's see who's here. And we are going to read at least the first page of participants in the live chat. Good morning to Delaney B, Monica Sherman, AZ. Good morning, Martha, Danny, Pepper, Leah, Cheryl, Plan with Jen, Faith and Family, Bulletproof Pastor, Ware Family. Good morning to Sally H, Scott, Southern Prairie Homestead, Thomas Pearson III, Martha, Cooper DeWee. Good morning to Tanya, Annette, and Monica Sherman, and Delaney B, Meg, Kathy O, Teresa, and many, many, many more. I don't know. I hope my coffee's cool enough. We'll see. I just came out of the microwave. We're good. You'll know if it's too hot because I'll spit it at the camera. Anyway, all right. Good morning to you all. Clink. Let's take a swig. Another one. And let's get to this. Yeah. Let's read John chapter 18 and the second part. We're going to start in verse 25, because we read 19 through 24 yesterday, but we're going to continue on. So on your mark, get set, here we go. Now Simon Peter was standing and warming himself. So they said to him, "You also are not one of his disciples, are you?" He denied it and said, "I am not." One of the servants of the high priest, a relative of the man whose ear Peter had cut off, asked, "Did I not see you in the garden with him?" And Peter again denied it. And at once a rooster crowed. Then they led Jesus from the house of Caiaphas to the governor's headquarters. It was early morning. They themselves did not enter the governor's headquarters so that they would not be defiled. So that they would not be defiled, but could eat Passover. Gosh, there's so much in there. Anyway, I'll continue on. So Pilate went outside to them and said, "What accusation do you bring against this man?" They answered him, "If this man were not doing evil, we would not have delivered him over to you." Pilate said to them, "Take him yourselves and judge him by your own law." The Jews said to him, "It is not lawful for us to put anyone to death." This was to fulfill the word that Jesus had spoken, to show by what kind of death he was going to die. So Pilate entered his headquarters again and called Jesus and said to him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus answered, "Do you say this of your own accord, or did others say it to you about me?" Pilate answered, "Am I a Jew? Your own nation and chief priests have delivered you over to me. What have you done?" Jesus answered, "My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, my servants would have been fighting, that I may not be delivered over to the Jews, but my kingdom is not from this world." Then Pilate said to him, "So, are you a king?" Jesus answered, "You say that I am a king. For this purpose I was born, and for this purpose I have come into the world, to bear witness to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth listens to my voice." Pilate said to him, "What is truth?" After he had said this, he went back outside to the Jews and told them, I find no guilt in him, but you have a custom that I should release one man for you at the Passover. So do you want me to release the king of the Jews? They cried out again, not this man, but Barabbas. Now, Barabbas was a robber. There's a lot in there to unpack, okay? There's a lot in there to unpack. Okay, so let's get to it. Okay. Peter denies again and then again. So, and then the rooster crows. So Jesus was obviously correct, and Peter was sadly like us all. He followed at a distance. I guess you could kind of say, well, at least he had that going for him, right? Maybe. I don't know. I'd say that it's really difficult for me to wrap my head around the fact that he said he was going to do it in advance, and then he did it anyway. At least, maybe after the first denial, you might have clued in and gone, wait a minute, didn't Jesus say something about this? But he didn't, and there that is. So, we've talked about Peter a lot. I'm not gonna beat that horse anymore because beating horses never works. It's not a good plan. All right, now, verse 28. They led Jesus from the house of Caiaphas to the governor's headquarters. It was early in the morning. They themselves did not enter the governor's headquarters so that they would not be defiled, but could eat the Passover. Isn't that very kind and smart and, well, just warm, and man, they're good little followers of the rules in terms of, man, they know these godly ways to behave, right? Sure. They would not have been defiled. It would have been unlawful for those Jews to enter the house of a Gentile. But they could go into like an open air courtyard. They could go there. That's fine. But if you went into the house of a Gentile, then you would have been defiled. And then you would have been ritualistically unclean, which would have made it so you could not have eaten Passover. But it's okay to, I don't know, not blackmail. No, it would have been okay to lie and manipulate and basically murder a guy by setting up the situation where he's going to get blamed for stuff he didn't do, and that's fine. That's fine. You're a good follower of the Torah if you do that. But you better not go in their house. That's a no-no. So that's really interesting. And, a workaround. We're going to talk a little bit more about, I'm going to come back to that. Let me get through some of the points, but I really want to spend the most of our time on why they did what they did, how they did it, in terms of, boy, it seems really bizarre. Like you'll see. Okay, no, let's just jump in. Okay, why would they be asking Pilate to kill Jesus? Okay. Well, it used to be that Rome, at this stage in history, Rome basically originally said, well, you guys deal with your religious stuff. We don't want to have anything to do with it. We'll do capital punishment. You're not allowed to do capital punishment. There was a back and forth of the laws and what was accepted. But at this specific time, the Jews Rome relinquished their right to do any kind of capital punishment. And so the Jews were not allowed to do it. it went back and forth as to what rules they were able to do, but at this specific time, they were not able to do this. But that was based on religious disputes, religious issues. That's why they could get away with stoning sometimes, and then sometimes they couldn't. But at this time, they were not allowed to exact capital punishment. Well, that causes a really interesting problem for the Jews that want Jesus dead. Okay? Because if they can't do the killing, well, then Rome's going to have to. Okay? Now, let's think this out. Makes an interesting problem for them. They want him dead, but they also couldn't do the killing, so they needed to be able to wash their hands of Christ's blood and say, we didn't do it. We didn't do it. But also, Rome would not have been interested in any religious debate with them. See? Okay. The Jews wanted to be able to wash their hands and say, we didn't do it. By Jewish law, we didn't murder anybody. Another reason why they didn't do the courts themselves. But the big reason was because they couldn't. Rome was in charge of capital punishment at this time. But Rome would not have wanted to have anything to do with your silly religious debates. We're not going to, why would I kill this Jesus guy? Because you call him some kind of a blasphemer or whatever. I don't want, no. This is not our fight, not our circus, not our monkeys. You deal with your monkeys over there. They would not have killed Jesus unless there was a political or law broken for Roman law. That was one of the big pillars of being a Roman citizen. It was like, well, Roman law was a big deal. So the Jews knew they couldn't kill him, and from a legal standpoint, but they also wanted to be, we didn't murder anybody. They wanted him dead, but they wanted Rome to do the killing, and they wanted to be able to say we didn't kill anybody. So they had to make this not a religious argument. Or else Rome wouldn't simply be interested. So they had to make Rome believe that he was some kind of an insurrectionist or some kind of a usurper or a military leader, somebody who was going to go and, become king. Someone who's going to rile up the people and maybe start a revolt. So do you see the pickle they were in? And I hate even putting it that way because it's disgusting. All they were doing was trying to make all of this happen, and they were the ultimate manipulators behind the scenes. Behind the scenes, they were manipulating Rome to get Rome to do what they wanted Rome to do. Now, the thing that I find the most interesting about this is if you really think about it, this perfectly illustrates how far off the mark Judaism, Torah observance had gotten, because the leadership was not following the law as it was intended at all. They weren't following the heart of the law. So much of this goes right back to where Jesus is saying, here's the heart of what you should be doing, instead of just the cut and dried, here's the rules of what you should be doing. This perfectly illustrates they were not following the law as intended. They were just looking the part, while they were really just finding a workaround to murder Jesus. They didn't even, so that they didn't do it themselves. They just were looking for a workaround for murder. And thus, they ultimately were committing the murder anyway. It was just like David. Remember King David? when he slept with Bathsheba. Bathsheba got pregnant. He tried to work his way out of that by bringing Uriah back, getting him drunk and making him think that it was Uriah's baby. Didn't work. So what did he do? He sent Uriah back to the battlefield and told all the guys, hey, when the battle's really, 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 really bad, you guys all act like we're going to charge and then you fall back. Don't tell Uriah. That's called murder. They were observant of the rules, but they were still committing murder, period. And this, to me, is a perfect illustration of how Jesus was trying to communicate to these people, look, you're not following the law as it was supposed to be intended at all. You're checking off boxes and you're doing the yes, don't do this. Okay, don't kill anybody, check. I didn't kill anybody, wink, 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 wink. The Romans did it. It wasn't me. When they were the ones that set up the whole circumstances, manipulated, pulled all the levers, did all the stuff behind the scenes, they were the ones that did it. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that we're not all to blame, because we all are to blame. Sin is what was paid for on the cross, and Jesus did that by choice. He went there to pay for our sins, but we're all sinners. So don't hear me. I'm talking about the mechanics of what happened at this time. Okay. So that said, they were murdering him, but we didn't do it. It was Rome. Sure. And let me see. So this going back and forth between Pilate and Jesus, I find this fascinating, don't you? Because I kind of get the impression that Jesus could have worked things out with Pilate at any moment. He could have basically been like, look, this is what these people are doing. But of course, he wouldn't do that because he was there to pay for the sins of the world. And he that was the mission. The mission wasn't to get out of it. But I mean, check this out. Verse 33. So Pilate entered his headquarters again and called Jesus and said to him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Now, he talks with him. Jesus speaks with him. Says, Jesus answered, "Do you say this of your own accord, or did others say it to you about me?" You almost get the impression that Jesus was kind of trying to find a way to just have a good conversation with Pilate. Like, I mean, Jesus knew that the outcome was always going to be the same. He was going to be condemned and die, and that was his intent. He was there purposefully for that reason. But doesn't it seem to me like, I mean, Jesus is like, hey, are you saying this because you want to know? Or are you saying this because they told you? And Pilate answered, "Am I a Jew? Your own nation and chief priests have delivered you over to me. What have you done?" Okay. Jesus answered, "My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, my servants would have been fighting, that I might not be delivered over to the Jews. But my kingdom is not from this world." And so Pilate must be going, okay. So are you a king? You say that I'm a king. For this purpose I was born, and for this purpose I have come into the world, to bear witness to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth listens to my voice. And then Pilate said, "What is truth?" Okay. It's such an interesting back and forth that you don't think of, I mean, Jesus is not trying to get out of it. But I think he's also trying to let Pilate understand a little bit more that the Jews are the ones that are really doing this. I almost get the impression that Jesus is kind of letting Pilate off the hook a little bit. I mean, because Rome, they would not have wanted to get involved in a religious debate, especially with a conquered people. I mean, because Rome ruled with force. And they don't want uprisings. The last thing they want, and the last thing Pilate would have been to have any kind of problems that would stop the flow of tax money. And if there's civil unrest, there's strife, there's a problem, tax money stops. That's not good for business. And so I kind of get the impression that this going back and forth was more like Jesus is saying, hey, Pilate, I know you got to do what you got to do. This is a religious thing, and the Jews are who is making this happen. But you're going to have a role in it, and you're not going to be able to get out of it. Because when you see that they keep going, I mean, in the other Gospels, you see that he didn't know what to do with them, so he sent them off to somebody else. Right? I think at that point, I think this conversation was what precipitated the back and forth. Like, why did he send them away? It's not recorded in this one that he was sent to a different leader. But he was. Right? And so I think Pilate was trying to look for a way to save face, to get out of it, you know? I don't know. I think Pilate just wanted to save face, didn't want to cause a problem, keep that tax money flowing, keep the Jews, just you guys do your thing over there. He didn't want to get in a religious problem. And I think that we're going to see that more and more. Now, am I implying that Pilate somehow gets a pass? No. I think he was a coward. I think he could have absolutely stopped this at any point, but God, being omniscient, knew exactly what was going to happen. And that's why I kind of see this conversation a little bit differently than a lot of people do. Because I think that Pilate was clearly a man conflicted. He didn't want to deal with this at all. But then on one side, you got the Jews that are all mad. And if they start a problem, then tax money stops. Tax money stops, could be his own head on a platter. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes politic garbage that you have to kind of go, okay, well, who was Pilate? What was he doing? What would have motivated him to do this? Pilate's job was to keep peace, says Thomas. Pilate's job was to keep peace. For what purpose? To keep the tax money flowing. So, had Pilate been a stronger leader, he could have probably figured out a way to push the Jews in a way that would have been more fair. But if he did, think about it. If he starts squeezing the Jewish leadership, forcing them to do stuff or enacting stricter laws or even putting some in jail, that's not going to be good for tax money either, because tax money equals peace. And he'll take fake peace over real uprising any day. He'll take fake peace over real uprising any day. And, oh, you Jews want to, okay, fine. This is not on me. This is on you. And the Jews were like, sure, yeah, wink, wink, wink. We didn't kill anybody. Rome did it. All right. Rome had no concerns over the execution of an innocent man. True. Social uprisings were another story. Why? Because it cuts off the tax money. Yeah. It's a funny thing, guys. I don't think it can happen because of the nature of humans. But if you really want to see change in your government, if you want to see real change, everybody stop paying your taxes all at once. Shut off that bank account. Pull your cash out of the bank, put it in a safe at your house, and don't send it in. That's the fastest way to cut the head off of the snake, because they can't fund all their shenanigans if they don't have money. Of course, it'll never happen because everybody lives under the fear of what are they going to do if I blah, 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 blah. I get it. Of course, now with the way that our government prints money, would they just be like, I don't care. We're just going to keep printing money and digging inflation deeper and deeper and deeper. We don't care. Knock, knock, knock. It's the U.S. government at your door. Yeah. I'm not suggesting that you do it, Scott. I'm just saying that would be a very quick way to have real change in the world. They don't worry about it if they have money. Well, where do you think they get the money from, Dan? I guess they can just print it, but then again, if they keep printing it, then it's worth nothing, right? That's how it works. Yeah, good morning. I was just going to say, Brad, they'll just print more. Carolina guy. Yeah, but then what happens? The more they print, the less it's worth, the less it's worth, the less it's worth. That's how it works. Yeah. So, I don't know. Food to think about. So my big takeaway this morning is that the Jews, these religious leaders, were illustrating perfectly how they were not obeying the law from the spirit in which God intended. They were not. They were just saying, we'll get somebody else to do it. We didn't do it. Go back and watch if you want to see more. We're gonna get on with our I don't even know what day it is. Thursday. So that said, let's pray, and we're gonna get on with our day. All right, guys. Mark is set. Here we go. Father God, thank you so much for how you love us, and help us to be more like you today in seriousness and not fake plastic, I'll just check off a box, legalistic way of being obedient, but from the heart. Amen. That's it. Have an awesome day, guys. See you back.
Let the sea roar and all that fills it, the world and those who dwell in it. Let the rivers clap their hands, let the hills sing for joy, together before the Lord, for he comes to judge the earth. Make Let the sea roar and all that fills it, the world and those who dwell in it. Let the rivers clap their hands, let the hills sing for joy, together before the Lord, for he comes to judge the earth. The salvation of our God. All the ends of the earth have seen the salvation of our God, the salvation of our God. Let the sea roar and all that fills it, the world and those who dwell in it. Let the rivers clap their hands, let the hills